the music, and it's so important. You hear the music from Williamson, you hear the music from Garden Heights, but then you have a score that bridges that unifies basically the two different music styles. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this is one of the first times in experience where when I was seeing the film, a lot of time, we had a great composer. He was amazing. And his name is Dustin O'Halloran. He did, did a great film with Lion that he was nominated for Academy for. So he came in, but a lot of times when I was watching the movie, I was taking away music. It's because I think the rehearsal time and how great these actors were and the performance, I just found out that less was more, and keeping the music subtle and letting it just not hear it, letting us feel like we're actually there. So it was the first time actually in my career where I actually end up taking out 20% of the music. And some of the suggestions came from Elizabeth. When Elizabeth would see the movie, she was like, I think you're trying too hard there. Maybe you should, and she was right. I would just take the music away or take it down or be less with it. And I think that's a commitment and a love for the acting that these guys did that was really helpful.
And Amanda, the Rest in Peace T-shirt moment. The writer, actually, Angie, is the one that hands you the T-shirt, right? In that moment, can you tell us about shooting that scene with the writer?
Yeah, so that moment actually was something that we came up with on the fly, because Star was wearing that hoodie. I don't know if you guys remember it, but it's kind of like a pink and blue hoodie, and it looked, for that moment, I felt like it looked too Williamson. Like George was saying, we had this chart of Star and her kind of 5 different behaviors depending on time and place and who's around her. And I felt like by the end of the story, she has become unified. She's less afraid to stand in her truth and her power. And so I think she would do less assimilation. And we had already shot a large part of the sequence and realized that we were getting to the place where Star gets up on the car and she's still wearing this hoodie that to me felt kind of preppy. And so we came up with the idea in the moment that she would get the T-shirt from someone, because we thought the image of Star on the car, paying homage to Khalil, paying homage to the black boys who have been shot by police would be much more powerful. So we kind of figured it out in the moment, and then Angie was there on set, and we thought that she would be the perfect person to hand the T-shirt to me, because she handed this project to us, and she handed her our entire heart.
And Regina, don't jump in, George. It's for Regina. What was it like working with Russell Hornsby, who plays your husband? He has such depth of feeling and passion. That's Maverick.
One of the big problems, plus the problems, is Russell lacks intensity, which I warned these guys about. But we got him to a decent place. No, Russell is... Russell was incredible. I think the first time we went out as a family to this, what kind of place? It's like a game
like an
room. Arcade. And I was standing over there with the kids, and we were waiting for Russell, and it was like, wow, we've actually morphed into these people. But, Russell has such a work ethic, and he's tries to be so honest to the material. And I know as a man, as a black man, as a father, he has 2 sons, what he wanted to be able to, serve this story with was just pure honesty. And so it was a gift, we did that, his 10-point program scene, and we just had to literally allow the pain, the anguish, the rage within him. So we were on set, and all were very respectful. But he's also funny, he sings show tunes. Look, I'm over there talking about a strong black man, he sings show tunes.
He quotes a lot of Shakespeare.
He does Shakespeare. He's also really fun to work with. So he's engaging to watch and engaging to work with.
And George, about casting Common, and working with Common, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, there was a little bit of a problem in the beginning with Common. Not, I known him a long time from Chicago, from South Side Chicago. Plus, I'm a huge fan of his music. But the problem is when he reads the script, everybody wants to play math. So it's like, how do we get?
I wanted to play math.
So it's like how to get the actor, him and Anthony Mackie as well, who plays King. Everybody was gravitating. But what it was, he fell in love with the book. He fell in love with the script, and he loved Amanda. He loves the cast, and he was awesome. I think the scene his big scene inside the kitchen, we had a conversation about that in terms of being honest and being true. And one of the things that we talked about when he, the thing that we said, if we were in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, and if it's dark, it's 12 o'clock at night in the morning or something, and 3 African Americans walk across the street and come towards you, we all have internal races inside that something's going to happen. So we acknowledged that within ourselves, and we stayed true to that moment. And that's what the commitment was for us in that particular scene, to say that there could be also an issue with being a police officer, if you're black or white, but also there's an issue with the system and and how they teach you. So those are the things that we talked about, and just loved working with him. And he was, the main thing was they had the chemistry together, which was great.
And both to Amanda and Regina, what was it like shooting what I think is the most powerful scene, the Sakani and the gun, that gets to the heart of what this film is about? Tell us your experience on shooting that scene.
Oh yeah, it was a lot. It was a really beautiful experience. I mean, we had already done so much of the prep work at that point that a lot of the time when we weren't shooting during that scene, we were joking around, we were laughing, and we were being silly. And I think that's kind of how we move through things. When we go through something like that, or we portray something that is that heavy, that does explore institutional racism in a way that is so visceral and painful, you have no choice but to find the joy and laugh when you can. It was really powerful shooting that scene because it felt like a particular reference or ode to Tamir Rice. It made me think specifically about children who have been victims of police brutality or who are just victims of institutional racism, period. And so I think that was kind of what was on my heart and my mind that night.
For me, it was hard he was so emotional. That was so genuine. And our lovely director got that from every angle. And so he had to do it over and over and over. No, but we need it in wide. But, to watch his professionalism and his honesty, it was very moving for us. It's very moving because TJ is such a wonderful little boy, you know what I mean? So you're already in love with him as a human being. And then you're watching him in this scene and he's holding this gun, and he's crying. And, when children are crying, that's not manufactured. That is a real place. And his mother's there, and she's watching. And George wants more angles. No, I'm joking. But it's such an important scene in George's defense that you do need coverage. So it was quite beautiful. But then at the end of that, we got to celebrate and hug him. And he was so proud of himself, and he actually didn't have to do it that many times because we had multiple cameras. But, he wanted to make sure that he gave enough. And I was so moved by how much he cared. And so it was and then we celebrated, and then we laughed, and we joked, and, life went on. So it was kind of a great night.
Well, we need this movie now more than ever. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are